All praises to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. This is going to be a lesson on how we are going to be living in the kingdom. All right, just a few, like 2 scriptures and maybe a few more on how we're going to be living in the kingdom of heaven. This is Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 10. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh. I'll put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a power, and they shall be to me a people. I'll read it again. For this is the covenant that I'll make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh. I'll put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I'll be to them a power, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord. For all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. Now, that's what the Bible says about how the Israelites are going to be living in the kingdom of heaven. How are they going to be living amongst each other, right? How are the Israelites as a nation going to be living amongst each other? And it says that they're going to all have the laws in their mind, right? And there's not going to be a need for one Israelite to tell another Israelite how to live, because every single Israelite is going to know that already, right? They're going to have it already built in, man. And I always forget the term, but there's a thing that certain animals have, precocial. That's the term. I believe the term is precocial animals, right? Where they're born and they know how to walk already, right? That's how Israelites are going to be. They're going to be born knowing how to keep the laws. Now, they're not going to keep it perfectly. Well, they're not going to have to keep certain things as a baby, but their parents are going to have the law built in them to know to keep it, right? But then when they get older, their parents ain't going to have to teach them about the laws. They're going to have to teach them about the high holy days, because it's already going to be built in them. And if they would have been able to physically move their body as a baby, they would have been able to keep the laws from birth in the kingdom of heaven. That's how it's going to be. This is Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 21. Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation, and I will hasten it in his time. I, Yahweh, will hasten it in his time. So we're going to be having children in the kingdom of heaven. Everybody that thinks that we're just going to be floating around with big wings hanging out of our cervical spine, that's not true, man. Right? We ain't going to be just floating around like that in the heavens. We're going to be having children, and we're going to be enjoying the things that Yahweh built into the body that the body enjoys, but we're going to be enjoying it in righteousness rather than how it is in this kingdom where everything's carnal, man, and everything's wicked. We're going to be enjoying our families, right? We ain't going to be stressed out having to thinking about setting alarm clocks, or having to think about pressing snooze buttons, or having to think about bills. We're not going to have to worry about those things, man. We ain't going to have to worry about our families getting harmed when they're not around us. Everything's going to be all right, man. That's how we're going to be living in the kingdom. We're going to be living according to Yahweh's laws, right? Now, there's other nations in the scriptures, right? So in the kingdom, what's going to happen to Esau, right? What's going to happen to Esau? Let's get that. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh has spoken it. So the Edomites are going to be getting completely destroyed off the earth, right? They're going to get completely destroyed off the earth because Yahweh is going to have fulfilled his need for having them on the earth. But they're not going to leave the earth before they get payback for all the things that they've did towards the Israelites, man. They're not going to just leave out of the earth before that. Yahweh is going to make the Israelites have their justice on them, right? Now, what about the other nations? Because there's 18 nations when you read in the Bible. Some people might try and say there's more, but there's 18. When you go into the book of Genesis, the 10th chapter, you find out about 16 nations that came from Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And then the next time when you find out about 2 other nations getting made, it's Jacob and Esau that came through the loins of Isaac. But this is what's going to be happening to those other nations that didn't come from Isaac's loins and be called either Israelites or Edomites. This is what's going to be happening to these nations. Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So the Israelites are going to be the governors of the earth. Just like how America tries to floor around right now and tell everybody what to do, the Israelites are going to be doing that same thing. But the Israelites, the difference between how the Israelites are going to be doing it is that the rules that the Israelites are going to be ruling the world with did not come from the minds of Israelites. It came straight from the mouth of Yahweh. Right? You have this the rules that the Israelites was given is basically the manual on how to run a human body perfectly. Right? That's basically what the laws were. The perfect way for a human being, as it stands, to live on earth if they want to have the most efficient and fulfilling life. Diet, everything is in there. It's all in there. And if a person was to follow that perfectly, they would receive everlasting life, as the scriptures say. Right? So that's just a quick lesson, man, on how we're going to be living in the kingdom of heaven. The Israelites are going to have the law perfectly. The Edomites are going to be going to captivity as well as the rest of the nations. But afterwards, after that captivity is over, the Edomites are going to be cast away, man. So I'll say that again, the Israelites are going to be perfect in the kingdom, following all of Yahweh's laws perfectly. The Edomites and the rest of the heathens are going into captivity for 1,000 years. After that 1,000 years is up, the rest of the heathen nations are going to be able to do their own thing, and but they still have to follow the Yahweh's laws. But the Edomites are going to be completely exterminated off the face of the earth, and every single nation on the earth is going to be made to follow Yahweh's ways. But the Israelites are the only nation that's going to follow it perfectly. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Bakar Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect to the nation of Israel. Shalom.